Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Got a few of the early birds on this morning. G'day, Aaron. How are you, mate? Good to see you. Mick's in the house. Luke's there as always. Mick, good morning to you. Deb. Kev, haven't seen you for ages, mate. I hope you're well. We should catch up, Kev. You're just around the corner. Let's catch up for a coffee, mate. Well, welcome, folks. Good to see you here. Had a couple of days off last week, so that's why I disappeared on Thursday and Friday. Took a little bit of downtime, but I hope you're all well, wherever you are. For those who don't know, all of you do, though, I'm quite sure. Jason Witten's my name. Good to see you here this morning. I've got a bit of a guest, folks, this morning. Make sure you hang around for this one. We've got our mentoring on tonight. You guys know the drill. Every second Monday in the month, every fortnight. I don't know if it's every second Monday. Who knows? But it's on tonight, and we've got a little bit of interesting stuff going on. There you go. All right, I'm in, Geoff. If it's your shout, mate, I'm there. All right, where are we meeting? And Geoff's in Gympie today. Good to see you, Geoff. Well, listen, folks, unless you've been living under a rock, you guys know the drill. There's been a lot going on out there in the world of population in Australia. Give us a shout out in the chat. What do you know? What do you know right now? Two things that are going on. Something right now is happening for the population, our population in Australia, and another thing that's happening, something demographically, maybe going to play out over the next little bit. But my guest this morning, Geoff, is going to talk a little bit about that. But give me a shout out in the chat. What do you guys know? What's going on with our population in Australia? Who's all over it? Who knows what's happening? Let me know if you think you got the drill here, because for most of us, unless you've been living under a rock, you've been seeing quite a huge, massive population increase. Where there was a slowdown of our population, our immigration, our comeback has been pretty strong when it comes to the world of I don't think our natural population increases haven't improved much over the years, but we've got a bit of a plan to get the right people into Australia for employment and other bits and pieces. That's going on. And one of the large things that's interestingly enough happening right under our nose is one of the largest transfers of wealth in Australia's history, supposedly, according to the statistics. But listen, I'm not going to talk too much about this morning. I'm going to bring Geoff Braily on, and we can have a little bit of a chat about what's going on. Geoff, tonight you're coming to our mentoring and coaching program. We've had you before, and it was awesome. Welcome to the morning coffee show, mate. Have you got a coffee this morning? Did I tell you to bring a coffee?
I've just smashed mine beforehand, Jason. I thought I've got a moment. Let's knock it down, and ready to chat. I love a few shots of coffee before we talk statistics, especially when it's related to property. It's one of my favorite topics. And
yes.
Welcome to the McCrindle Studios here. You're seeing a bit of behind the scenes this morning, and yeah, great to be with you and all your community. What a privilege.
Mate, we've got a big night on tonight, but this morning's a little bit of a taste test, a little bit of a teaser for whoever's listening in this morning. What are we going to be talking about tonight, mate? What's on the agenda for you tonight?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to look at some of the latest data that's come through. I know your community would want to be making these big decisions built on some reliable data, and we're going to
Yes.
look at some of the latest population statistics, which include some of that growth through natural increase, as you mentioned. That has we did pick up a little bit after COVID. There was a bit of a little lift in our birth rates, but that is slowing down again, which has been the long-term trend. Fewer children per family. We're
Everybody
going to
staying home during COVID got a bit busy, did they?
Well,
Or
I think once the thing settled down a little bit, people realised, yeah, maybe now is the right time as we started to come out, and
yeah,
now it's inflation, cost of living. It's the challenge, I think, for the everyday Australian to go, yeah, it is a tough time to have that bigger family. The not just cost of housing, but cost of living puts downward pressure on that fertility rate. But the growth story really is about net overseas migration. It is
yes, it's been massive, huh?
huge numbers. So tonight we'll kind of unpack that. More than 500,000 new people to Australia in that last 12-month period. So 450,000 people now joining Australia, and so that's in just the last 12 months. So
And that's the largest increase we've ever seen in 1 year, isn't it?
that's right. It's
Yeah.
remarkable. So we grew by 100,000 through natural increase, but 450,000 through net overseas migration. So over 500,000 increase overall. What a great story on one hand, and it
Yeah.
does present some challenges. It's a double-sided coin, this population growth, and we've, as property investors, you probably appreciate it's a good thing. It's putting pressure on a housing market that was already under strain, but that's
Yes.
going to kind of, I would see, lift prices. And tonight I'll be sharing kind of where's been the fastest growth and where's been the largest growth as well, because even the population growth rate nationally was 2.2%. There's one state that was at 2.8, and I'll give it away this morning. I'll tell the top three tonight, but the fastest growth was actually in WA at
I was going to say
2.8%.
Queensland, but WA, huh?
It's Queensland's fallen off the top of the list as the
Oh,
fastest and the largest. So it had a little
wow.
moment there. It's still in the top three for
Do you
both.
reckon that's
So
driven by price point, properties, work,
I think
jobs?
WA's got a really strong economy at the moment,
Yeah.
and that's it is having that little rebound after a long pause. It's been a long wait for WA, anyone that's been investing there or living there, but it's
Yeah.
a great community as well. Even Macrindle, we've got our own office over there, and it sounds like a brilliant place to live where you can be 10 minutes from the beach. You've got a couple of AFL teams, you've got lifestyle coffees, restaurants, a great economy. And a really stable community as well. I think WA residents are very passionate about their state. We've done some research and it shows that they're most proud of their state out of all the
Yes,
states and
they
territories.
love it. My wife's from Perth, and yeah, I lived there for a few years when I was in the Air Force when I was a bit younger. But the mining boom and sort of the mining industry certainly sort of rolling along again, or sort of jobs and income. Do you see that stuff sustaining right now? Like, where are the jobs coming from? Where's the income coming from? We've had population increase, but have the wages kept up?
Yeah, and I think there's a good story for WA around the wages. They're doing well. ACT's got the highest wage per household, though, out of all the states and territories. So a bit
Well,
of
the
a
politicians look after themselves, don't they?
politician's edge maybe there, the front seat of choice. But certainly I think the employment mix is really fascinating in Australia. The population boom that we've kind of seen over the recent decades, we've grown faster than expected. And that's largely to help support an aging population in this longevity boom. We need a growing population to
Yeah.
support and sustain a growing economy. And we also have jobs in that care for older Australians. We've got young education jobs as well. We've got a strong construction sector. And with the sort of shift to renewable energies, we're going to see that sector continue to grow as we transition sort of fuel supply. So it's going to be a fascinating few decades ahead for Australia's workforce, and a really interesting time.
I bet. What are you? So I watched a very interesting documentary the other day, The Population Bomb. Basically, the world's population aging, but we're depopulating because we're not having, we're not replacing ourselves. Do you do any research in and around that stuff? And what's the likelihood of that sort of having an effect anytime soon in Australia? Let's say.
Yeah, Australia's still forecast to continue growing as a population, but it's really reliant on overseas migration. And
Yep.
Australia's birth rate has been declining over the long-term trend. And I think that's one of the really fascinating factors is that with a rising house price, expensive cost of living, are we creating those communities that can be sustaining, that can have a higher birth rate? And in the past, there's been incentives, a baby bonus the government's put out there to lift that birth rate. And it's a long-term shift that would be really beneficial, but it's no short-term way to get there quickly. You can't have a generation of workers in 2 decades, in 2 years. It needs 2 decades for that strategy to work. So it's a really long-term plan, and globally we'll see that population max. I think it's by the sort of middle of this century is the forecast.
Yeah.
But Australia is situated in that population epicenter of the world, with some of the world's largest populations right on our doorstep. So yeah, China, India, the Philippines, Indonesia. So we've got a great Asian century ahead of us, and Australia will benefit from that.
Yeah, arguably we're a very attractive country to emigrate to, very stable and opportunities abound. We've got a bit of space as well. We've got a little bit of space to grow.
That's right. I was just trying to talk with my daughter during the week about the Australian anthem as we watched some of the AFL finals, and she was trying to remember what verse 2 was, and it has this line about we've got boundless space to share in verse 2. But the interesting thing is the space. There's just not the housing yet to supply, and so that's the missing piece. That we've got a really strong brand Australia. We've got the safety, the education, great leadership. Overall, we're a democratic country, and while we're not a perfect democratic country, it's a great place to live. But the infrastructure for me is one of the things that I think we're still living back in that sort of 19th, if not 20th century approach to city development. We've got to really ramp up our city building, in my opinion, and plan for the next kind of 200 years, not just the next couple of years, and fix a quick housing crisis. We've got a city building opportunity at the moment, not just a housing crisis.
Yeah. And it does. When you think about that, it sort of gets to, conversations about, big decisions politically, how do we grow the country? Opportunity is right under our nose. But, what do you see? There's, one of the things that we talked about, or there's been talked about just recent times, is this large transfer of wealth in the next, 10 to 15 years. That's massive. What is many trillions of dollars, I understand, it's huge. So, what do you see that's going to have a major impact on as you guys research and look at the data?
Yeah, it's such an interesting area because the 6 generations we have in Australia right now, we've got the builders at the top and then the baby boomers. And over the next 2 decades, we'll see around $6 trillion transferred down the generations.
Wow.
And so that's going to the Gen X's, the Gen Ys. It's only 18 months until we'll have, at the very lowest end of the generations, we'll have a new generation called Generation Beta. And so they'll be the children of Gen Z, whereas today's children are Gen Alpha, who are the children of Gen Y. I'll show all this on some nice images tonight so everyone can see the story. And really, it's a story at the moment around a generation of baby boomers who've done well, 3 decades of economic growth. They've worked hard, they've saved hard, they've paid down debt, and now are living kind of with a pretty strong asset base on average. And that's where they're able to help with things like paying for education for their grandchildren. They're able to support families who might be going through some hardships, or have that open home for boomerang children that might just keep coming back. A few Gen Ys maybe have been through that cycle of life, and even young Gen Zs as well. But I think Gen Zs are a little bit more switched on. No, they need to start saving early. Gen Ys, I think, got a little bit caught by surprise with rising house prices probably over the last 10 to 15 years and haven't really been able to catch up, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? The idea that, we ride off the back of our house prices in Australia, but that sort of, it's a double-edged sword, for those who are entering the market, struggle to.
Yeah, it's still the dream, though, to be either financially independent or to have your own home. So we'll talk through some new data we've got on that by the generations tonight as well. We've just done a new fresh study of 2,000 Australians. So we've got some fresh data tonight that'll be really fun to unpack and look through those top dreams that Australians have. And that housing and financial narrative is a key one. And it's quite interesting because you sort of think having a house should just almost be it's almost one of those human rights, somewhere safe to sleep and somewhere warm to find refuge and a place to relax. But Australia is a really challenging place. And that's from a rental aspect. There's a lot of rental stress at the moment where not enough people are able to afford, but also not enough properties. The vacancy rates are so tight. So it's a good time to be a property investor, creating supply for a growing population. I think if we can get that mix right of lifestyle, community, amenity with great property, we're going to build a great place to live for the decades ahead. And that's for a global market that we're really approaching.
Yeah, looking to attract, I like what you said, brand Australia. We've got a good brand. Let's capitalize on it. Well, Geoff, mate, thanks for joining me this morning for a quick chat and a bit of a preview of what's going on tonight. Really looking forward to it. I've loved the past presentations, and this one sounds like it's going to be an awesome one as well.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Look forward to seeing you and everyone there tonight.
Thanks, Geoff. All right. That's it, folks. Make sure you pop along tonight. Mentoring is on at the same time, 7 o'clock, but Geoff will be there ready to go. So make sure you join us. Get the registration link. Get along tonight. Maybe share it around to those who need to see this one tonight because, you know, $6 trillion worth of transfer of wealth and a population boom. You know, we need to make sure we understand how to be in position as property investors to make that one happen. So, all right, folks, that's it from me. Good to see you here this morning. I know there was a bunch of you on, but make sure you pop along tonight. Oh, Chris, you showed up late, mate. We're finished. What are you doing, Chris? All right, folks, that's it. Wealth Coffee Chat done and dusted. You guys be good. See you when I see you next. Tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow. We'll have another one tomorrow. You guys know the drill. 8:10. We'll hang out, have another coffee. Until then, team, you guys take care. Bye for now.